Welcome back to the Deep Dive. And a big hello to all our C9 followers tuning in, whether you're on the podcast feed or catching us via the business page. Thanks for joining. Today, we're really getting stuck into a topic that, honestly, should be top of mind for every sharp, analytical C-level executive in Australia right now.
Absolutely. We know who you are. You're driven by data, making those tough calls based on rigorous analysis. But right now, you might feel a bit hamstrung by these legacy data systems, the ones manual, costly to keep running, and just frustratingly slow when you need answers fast.
And that's exactly our mission today. We've gone through a whole stack of industry reports, expert analyses, looking at how AI-powered analytics, and specifically this Copilot integration in Power BI, how that's really changing the game. Think about it like this. Maybe you're running a big logistics firm, say, out of Perth. Suddenly you need to reroute, 50 trucks based on fluctuating fuel costs, crazy weather, maybe patchy regional connectivity.
Yeah.
Exactly, right now. To potentially save hundreds of thousands, your traditional BI setup.
Yeah.
It just makes that kind of quick, proactive move, well, almost impossible.
And that inability to react, that's the core executive pain point, isn't it? It's not just the high operational costs from, clunky manual processes. It's seeing growth targets missed because the reports you need land on your desk days, maybe even weeks, too late. The real frustration is knowing the insights are in there somewhere.
Yeah, buried.
Buried, exactly. The old tech is just blocking you from getting at them quickly and, crucially, affordably.
So what's the vibe out there? Are Australian business leaders actually, ready to take this leap? It's a big shift.
Well, frankly, they're almost being forced to adapt. We're seeing government and industry stats showing over 35% of Aussie businesses brought in AI and automation back in 2024. And that's growing. This isn't some fringe thing anymore. Look at the market value. Australian data analytics is sitting at around AUD 2 billion. And it's growing fast, like a CEGR of 25.3%. So this shift, it's not really optional if you want to stay competitive.
Okay, so let's dig into that inefficiency you mentioned. Why are these traditional BI tools, with the static dashboards we all know, the super complex manual queries, why are they just not cutting it anymore for today's execs?
Well, they basically create what we call the inefficiency trap. You have smart people, executives, analysts, pouring hours and hours into just preparing data, cleaning it up, only to end up with reports that are often fragmented, maybe even out of date by the time they're done. And they definitely don't scale well. Traditional BI, fundamentally, it was built for looking back, maybe quarterly reports, not for the speed businesses need to move at in, 2025.
And you throw the unique Australian context on top of that, and it becomes more than just a tech headache, doesn't it?
That's right. For businesses here, there are extra layers. We've got significant compliance hurdles like the Privacy Act. You absolutely have to handle data securely and rigorously. Then there's the sheer geography. Regional connectivity can be a real challenge across the country. But honestly, often the biggest hurdle is internal. It's a lack of in-house technical know-how, leading to quite deep employee resistance sometimes, maybe fueled by bad experiences with IT projects that didn't deliver in the past.
And the price of just sticking with what the status quo, it sounds terrifyingly high. We saw research, I think it was Gartner, pointing out that companies clinging to old systems, they risk falling behind, like a 20% lag in just decision-making speed compared to businesses embracing AI. At 20%, that could be the difference between leading your market and constantly playing catch-up.
And it's funny because this is happening while employees themselves are getting pretty familiar with the tech. McKinsey data showed something like 94% of employees know about generative AI tools. But here's the paradox. 78% of Australians are still worried about things going wrong, data breaches, inaccurate AI predictions, that sort of thing.
Wait a second. If nearly everyone knows about AI, why is the executive worry still so high? Is it distrust in the AI itself, or more about who's putting it in place?
I think it's largely distrust in the implementation. Executives are kind of caught, aren't they? They feel the pressure for speed, but they're rightly skeptical about AI reliability if it's not done properly. Because if that solution is poorly designed, the risk to the business, especially around compliance like the Privacy Act, is just massive. It really hammers home why you need proper engineering, not just quick fixes.
Okay, so let's shift gears. The frustration you described, there's a way out. Let's talk about the tech shift that's breaking down these walls, the Copilot revolution inside Power BI. The reports we're seeing suggest this integration is not just automating insights, but strategically cutting down that manual analysis time by, up to 50%?
That 50% figure is huge. Think about it. Your analytical team suddenly gets half their week back. Time they can spend on strategy, on innovation, instead of just data drudgery and query writing. That's a fundamentally faster way to run a business. And the big driver recently was the update. around September 2025 that made Copilot basically default on within Power BI.
Which means for the average executive user, wrestling with complex code or query languages, that's becoming a thing of the past. You can just ask it what you need.
Pretty much, yeah. It's called natural language querying. You literally just ask Power BI your business question like, what's our sales trend forecast for next quarter, factoring in the latest exchange rates.
Yeah.
Copilot uses its machine learning smarts to do what used to take hours of technical fiddling. It really democratizes access to data insights.
Okay, that's massive for the non-technical folks. But what about the serious data analysts, the modelers? Are there specific features that give them the rigor and maintainability they need?
Definitely. Two major updates stand out. First, Copilot for DAX Queries. That became generally available around October 2025.
Okay, hang on. For listeners maybe not deep in the code every day, what does DAX actually do, and how does Copilot make that easier?
Right. Good question. DAX, it stands for Data Analysis Expressions. It's the language Power BI uses under the hood for all its complex calculations, comparisons, finding totals, averages, that kind of thing. It's what ensures your key metrics are accurate and consistent across all your reports. Writing custom DAX manually, it could be really time-consuming, complex, easy to get wrong. Copilot now helps write and optimize that DAX code. And importantly, it helps create reusable bits of code, user-defined functions, or UDFs. That makes your whole data model much more robust, reliable, and easier to maintain over time.
Got it. That sounds solid. And given everything needs to be in the cloud these days, what about cloud readiness?
Yeah, crucial point. AI data preparation features are now fully baked into the Power BI service, the
Yeah.
cloud version, not just the desktop tool analysts use. This means your core data models, your semantic models, that's the polished, secured, ready-to-go data, they stay Copilot ready right there in the cloud. It streamlines workflows and means security updates happen faster.
And thinking about Australia specifically, we have to touch on the mapping upgrade, right? For our huge logistics and supply chain sector.
Oh, absolutely vital. The switch from Bing Maps to Azure Maps is a really big deal for anyone tracking goods or assets across our vast regions, mining, agriculture, transport, you name it. Azure Maps can handle huge amounts of geographic data much faster and more accurately. It gives those real-time map-based insights that operations teams need, even if they aren't data scientists, to manage complex routes way more efficiently.
And the proof is in the pudding, as they say. We saw stats, something like 65% of companies using AI within their BI are reporting better decision-making. And that agritech example you mentioned earlier really hits home for the Australian economy, doesn't it?
It really does. Using AI-powered Power BI to predict crop yields and seeing accuracy improvements up to 85%, that's transformative. Analytics stops being just about what happened last month. It starts proactively telling executives what specific actions to take next to optimize resources, cut costs, manage risk. It's a different ballgame. Okay, now, with all this excitement about speed and efficiency, we absolutely have to sound a note of caution for our Australian execs. We need to talk about the danger zone, avoiding the AI cowboys. And this related concept we're starting to call vibes coding.
Vibes coding. Okay, I like that. So it sounds like, someone offers you an instant AI solution in a dimly lit car park, maybe walk away.
That's pretty much the feeling, yeah. It's developers using maybe cheap low-code tools, often based on really vague prompts, promising these incredibly quick wins at a low price. The appeal is obviously that initial cost saving, but the solutions they build, they usually lack any real architectural strength or planning.
And what does that lack of architectural rigor mean in practical terms? Like, for the execs signing the check, what's the actual C-suite risk?
Well, if it lacks rigor, it's essentially a house of cards. It might look okay handling a small, simple data set in a demo, but try to scale it up. Try to connect it to your complex existing systems, your SAP, your Oracle, whatever, and it just collapses. Then the risks jump straight to the C-suite level. We're talking major operational downtime, huge rework costs that blow the budget, and critically serious security holes. Holes that could put you in direct violation of the Australian Privacy Act. That means potential fines, yes, but also massive reputational damage.
And this isn't just hypothetical fear-mongering, right? The failure rate for these poorly planned projects is actually pretty shocking. Industry data suggests around 30% of AI implementations fail because they weren't planned properly.
Exactly. And when they fail, the cost to fix them, the rework, it's often double what you thought you were saving initially, maybe even more. So any apparent cost advantage from taking those shortcuts just evaporates. It actually costs you more in the long run.
And the final kicker. With that cheap and cheerful model, there's usually no plan for transferring knowledge to your own team, is there?
Zero. None. It's designed to trap you in a cycle of dependence. Your internal people don't learn the skills needed to maintain the system, let alone evolve it. So you stay reliant on these frankly unreliable vendors, and you never solve that internal expertise gap we talked about earlier. Trust, precision, solid architectural planning, they're just non-negotiable. You have to demand them.
Okay, so an executive is trying to navigate this minefield. They're probably seeing hundreds of potential developers. What's the C9 difference? Why opt for a partner emphasizing that rigor over the quick fix?
Well, it really boils down to accountability and smart efficiency through our hybrid model. We blend cost-effective global expertise, that's our offshore team, bringing resource efficiency with crucial local accountability, that's the onshore team, based here, managing Australian time zones, understanding the nuances of regulations like the Privacy Act. It ensures projects don't stall, and the solution is always compliant and fit for purpose here.
And you mentioned addressing that internal capability gap. C9 puts a real focus on knowledge transfer, right?
Right.
Which tackles that employee resistance issue head on.
We absolutely do. Comprehensive training for your staff on Power BI, on Copilot, on maintaining the solution that's a core part of our delivery. We're not just dropping off a black box. We aim to empower your teams for the long haul so they can do their own analysis, manage the system. That's why when we look at our internal results, we see things like 40% efficiency gains for our Australian healthcare clients using these properly engineered Copilot dashboards. They own it.
Right. Let's touch on that other crucial element of trust, pricing.
No.
Transparency. A lot of vendors seem to use these vague, padded, indicative quotes.
Yeah, we really try to remove that uncertainty. C9 uses discovery-based pricing. We work with you upfront to refine the scope and estimate the effort really accurately, down to the nearest hour. So let's use simple numbers. A competitor might throw out a figure like, say, $15,000 for a job that'll take about 2-3 weeks.
Which sounds very woolly and probably a bit high.
Exactly. After we do our detailed discovery session, which is no obligation. By the way, we often find the actual required effort is much less. Maybe it's only 42 hours of work. So we quote, based on that precise effort, say 42 hours at $200 an hour, which comes to $8,400. That's a huge saving compared to the vague $15 K quote. You only pay for the actual agreed upon work. That discovery call isn't just a sales chat. It's a vital strategic planning step.
So skipping that initial discovery call, even though it's free and maybe only 30-60 minutes, that's probably the worst first step an executive could take.
Honestly, yes. It's the single biggest risk factor for project failure or budget blowouts. That discovery session maps everything out, the decision points, the milestones, the timelines. It lets us plan a phased rollout so you can get early wins and see a return on investment quickly. That basic Copilot dashboard we deliver in stage 1, it can start generating immediate savings like that 50% reduction in analysis time we talked about. Those savings can then help fund the next stage of development. You actually turn the cost of modernization into a continuous self-funding investment cycle.
Makes sense. And finally, for companies that need extra hands on deck, maybe flexible capacity, C9 also offers staff augmentation, right? What kind of arrangement works best there for value and continuity?
We offer flexibility, of course, but we generally find the 3 to 6 month lock-in contracts provide the best results for everyone. It fosters real continuity, gets the person deeply embedded. It drastically cuts down on that costly ramp-up time you get with constant shopping and changing month to month. And ultimately, it lowers the total cost, typically by 25 to 30% compared to more volatile arrangements, and our augmented staff. They're experts in Power BI, AI analytics, Copilot integration, and crucially, they understand the Australian Privacy Act inside out, ready to hit the ground running. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, okay. This deep dive has really hammered it home. In 2025, for Australian executives, adopting these trustworthy, precision-engineered AI solutions for data management isn't just nice to have, it feels essential. You simply can't afford the competitive lag, or worse, the regulatory risk that comes with using brittle, poorly architected systems.
And maybe, if we connect this back to the big picture, here's a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. If you were to implement Copilot in stages, starting soon, what percentage of your current analytics team's budget could you potentially free up, say, next quarter? Just from that initial efficiency gain, that immediate quantifiable saving, that's what transforms modernization from just being a cost center into a powerful engine-driving return on investment.
Absolutely. Stop letting your data be a source of frustration. Make it your strongest competitive advantage. If you're an Australian business owner, a C-level executive, and you're ready to unlock smarter decisions, streamline your operations, and really secure that edge, well, the journey starts with proper planning. So call C9. We're Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company. Schedule your free, no-obligation discovery call today. You can learn more and get the ball rolling at www.c9.com.au. And hey, while you're there, click that follow button, and please share this deep dive with colleagues or contacts who you think could benefit from this knowledge.
Thanks for tuning in to the Deep Dive.
We're signing off from the Deep Dive. See you next time.